Hey folks, and welcome back to the second part of the repair of the early 1940s radio phonograph. If you watched the last video, you'll know that we had a radio that had no output, and after a couple of changes, a couple of repairs, we've got a working radio, and that's fantastic. But now is the top end, the phonograph. Now, it had no output. I bought some 78s, which, gee, I didn't have any of those, and a pack of needles, and I didn't have any of those either. And I tried it out. Now you can hear the vibration that the needle makes on the record. Mechanically, you can hear the record, but there's no output through the speaker. There's no amplification. So either the wiring to the amplifier from the arm is damaged, or the cartridge is damaged. So what we're going to do is pull out the cartridge. I'll test the wiring to take care of the easy part first. And chances are we're going to have to see if we can crack open this cartridge. So let's see what's here.
Okay, I tested the wiring and it comes out just fine. So it's this cartridge. Now notice it's riveted together brass cartridge. There's two wires that connect to those prongs and a needle goes in the front and it turns vibrations into electrical energy. But it does so through a ceramic material inside, and I guarantee you that ceramic material has degraded by this time. From what I've heard, almost all of them are like that, so we're going to have to replace it with a modern equivalent. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this. Now some people drill all the way through the case to get rid of the rivets and try to put in tiny screws, but I'm afraid I'm going to damage it. I've seen some people damage this casing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a drill and carefully drill out these two rivets in the front and one in the back, just enough to split the casing, just the rivet heads. So let's put this in a vise and see if we can get it open. Yeah, split it apart without any damage, believe it or not, except for the damage that was already here. This is where the ceramic material used to be. It used to be a small sandwich in here. It's kind of a square, and it's just turned into flakes. I mean, when I open the case, here's what came flying out. There's just nothing left of it. You can't even tell what the original shape was. So we're going to have to clean all of this out. Everything from the holder in the front, we're going to clean out all the material. We're going to leave this there's a little rubber bumper in the back, kind of a support. I'm going to leave that. There's one in the top of the lid. I'm just going to clean all the residual material off of it, but I'll use that as support for the replacement ceramic material. So what we're going to do is clean it out, and then I'll show you how we're going to get this fixed.
Okay, I've removed all the debris and remaining ceramic material and just have a clean case. I'm leaving the little rubber supports that will help hold what I'm putting back in it. And now what was in there was obviously a ceramic sandwich where the needle picks up vibrations, it transmits it to the ceramic, and the ceramic turns it into electrical impulses at the back where the pins were. That's why it's called an electrical ceramic transducer. And of course, we have a modern equivalent, and that is a piezo. This is a ceramic piezo disc. They're used in tons of things. Say an example would be any small child's toy that has a speaker. This is probably the speaker. Say like Hallmark ornaments that make sound. Guarantee it's probably one of these. They come in several sizes. The bigger they are, the more output they have. So what I got here is a 20 millimeter, and I cut it so it would fit the case. And this is what I came up with. Now what I've got in the back is a piece of hard plastic so it fits tightly together. Um, I would suggest, I mean, you can use anything, but I would suggest something hard so it doesn't dampen the vibrations that come from the needle. I got as big as I thought could fit in here properly. So put it down in here. I've cut the metal off the sides so that the package can still close. And I'll cut the wires, connect it to the pins in the back, and we'll close up the cartridge and see how she does. Okay, here it is. Took a little bit for my ham-handed self to get this little guy in here, but that's what I've got. Case back together. Yeah, I've had a lot of coffee. That's the result of the shaking. Okay, now I will, a little bit of a satisfying click. I will solder this closed, but it would probably be best if it'll hold together. I don't know. It would be, well, I tell you, we'll solder. Well, I know. No, I know I need to solder it together, but of course I think I'd better test it first, see if this works. The screws that hold the cartridge into the arm will help hold it closed until I can tell that it worked. So hold on. Okay, between the last video you saw just a few seconds ago and now, it's actually been about 2 weeks. Mostly because the cartridge worked, but it didn't work as good as I thought it should. It, it came through the amplifier, but I just thought it should be louder. And also had problem with distortion. There was actually some other things that need to be done for it to put out as best as you can. The needle, for one thing, has to be perpendicular with the arm. If it's at an angle like this, instead of straight up and down, it's just not going to put out as much as you want. It'll be louder if you've got it perpendicular. Also, I had a lot of distortion. What was going on was that the vibrations the record was picking up was going not only into the cartridge, but into the arm itself, and the arm vibrated. Well, the cartridge picked up those vibrations, and you heard this horrible distortion in the background. So what I did, I don't even know if it was the way it was supposed to be originally. All I know is, to make it better for me, those two screws that are up in the cartridge up there, on the other side, they originally, in mine, went straight into the arm with no cushion. So I took and found the smallest little rubber washers I could find, put them between the cartridge and the arm, and tighten the screws on that. And also, another direction I got to worry about is the cartridge needs to be in this direction, parallel with the arm. It's got to be straight like this. It can't sag, and it can't be like this. Now, when I put those washers in, it ended up like this a little bit. So I also added an extra rubber bumper in the back so the cartridge is straight like this, so that this needle comes to the angle it's supposed to be on the record. Also, one last thing, I had needles come in different sizes for different sounds. There's low, basically low, medium, and loud. I had a medium. I bought a pack of louds, which really just makes the needle a little thicker and a little sharper because I jammed one on my finger. So let's see how it sounds now. I turn her on, let it warm up. Here it comes.
Personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis, cold.
Okay. Well, I guess that's about it. It's great to have the bottom and the top working again. You can hear the sounds of yesteryear up here, and you can still hear the sounds of today down here. Thanks for coming back to the second part of the video. I hope you learned a little something. I know I did. And subscribe if you're so inclined, and I'll catch you later. Thanks a lot.